Only my name's first, that's all.
Wow.
Okay. I'll call the January 27th, 2022 meeting of Riley County Commissioners to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See, participants, did you have some comment? Oh,
No, I'm here for the business.
no, okay, all right. We'll go ahead and then start with the commission comments.
Okay. Monday after our meeting on Monday, I attended the intergovernmental luncheon via Zoom. Meetings are being hosted by the city of Manhattan with Mayor Linda Morris as the chair. Pretty much all the government entities were present and gave updates and comments to the group. Monday evening, a special law board meeting was held here at the commission chambers. Main discussion was to appoint an interim director after the retirement of RCPD Director Butler on January 31st. 3 executive sessions ensued to discuss the non-elected personnel matter, followed by a public session where we offered the position to Kurt Muldrup, currently serving as the assistant director, which he accepted. The contract is being prepared by the law board attorney. And we're happy that he's going to continue. There will be a retirement reception tomorrow for Director Butler. Tuesday, I measured a kitchen and some adjoining rooms for preparation of a floor plan and working plan. Worked on the plan in the afternoon, also getting quotes on home and auto insurance. As all my existing ones have gone up dramatically in pricing, so I'm trying to even out things. Also working on a different Medicare supplement plan for the same reason. It's just gone up unbelievably. So, it's time for evaluation. It takes a long time. Tuesday night, I attended public kindergarten class at the Manhattan Kennel Club. Wednesday, I spoke to several potential applicants for the Rural Economic Development Advisory Committee. Well, a really good one coming in Monday. So hopefully they'll get them submitted as soon as possible. And then I also spent time going over today's meeting packet and the contract that was written for Muldrups. So that's it.
So, yeah, Monday afternoon, I too attended the first intergovernmental meeting of the year. Kind of nice to not have to run these this year. Just kind of sit back and watch. Pay a little closer attention to what's being discussed and updates. Always glad to get those updates, see what everybody's working on. Of course, we had the message right before Thanksgiving. A little bit of time there, yeah. So good deal there. Monday afternoon, I met with a constituent who's having some wastewater issues and challenges on their rural property. I don't really know on this one yet. I really don't. So we'll just kind of keep working and talking about it. I'm just hopeful we can figure something out that will keep them solvent moving forward. Monday evening, of course, I was part of the special session of the law board as well. I think you summed it up pretty well, so I probably really don't need to go through it all that much, but really long, but productive. Got to get that done, and I'm glad that we do have that done now. Tuesday morning, I joined in with Mayor Morris from the city and Pot County Commissioner Dee McKee on a moderated panel to discuss local government and the functions with the leadership Manhattan class 2022. It was downtown at City Hall. I did this panel last year and enjoyed the opportunity. Had some good questions, good dialogue. I've got a really impressive class. They typically do. local professionals and business people from the community. So really good. See, Tuesday afternoon, I have a monthly board of directors Zoom meeting with Pawnee Mental Health. Business discusses an update on both the November and December finances of the agency. Wasn't able to make the finance committee. I'm on the finance committee, but they moved everything up and it just didn't work. So have to catch up on that one later. Put on your calendars, pancakes for Pawnee, March 1st. I think they're doing the same thing they did last year. It's going to be a drive-through pickup type of thing. As COVID still being a large part of the, probably by March being a large part of everything. Robin Cole gave an executive director's report update. We appointed both new legal counsel for the organization, and several new board appointments and reappointments were had, and had election of new board officers and committee chairs as well. All that went really, really well. And lastly, yesterday I had a special conference call with NACO's Community Economic Development, Workforce Development Committee to discuss 4 interim policy resolutions. We as a committee will work with the United States Congress to get passed, hopefully at the federal level. Those resolutions will be discussed further and voted on during February's policy and legislative conference that will be in person in Washington, D.C. Of course, I will be attending this meeting virtually. They've got a virtual component set up where we can work, talk, discuss, and vote. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. 2 of the 4 resolutions dealt with affordable housing. One dealt with arts and economic development. And then the other one deals with CDBG funding at the federal level. So that's pretty much all I got.
Well, also Monday, I attended the government meeting. You guys kind of covered that. After a meeting, I met with someone, up in the appraiser's office about concerns I received for some residents. I received some more education on how the appraisals are done, and especially in rural area, the farms and stuff, and relayed that information back to the residents. I've been back in touch with them to see if they've got it straightened out. I hope they got it straightened out. It seemed to be a miscommunication between the appraiser's office, because like anything else, I heard 2 different stories, and I think it seemed to be able to get figured out. And I also met with Megan in the extension office, again, discussing some Medicare questions with her. She's a good information person if you have questions on that. And later I met with David Adams, part about the education requirements for EMTs and paramedics, and just how they're, because I know we're always looking for more of them, just kind of how that whole process works. Had some ideas on that. And we also had a discussion about the new ambulance emergency management facility and a station in North County. And he also showed me some of the proposals they've received from architects for the proposed facility. And it was really interesting to see the different ways they looked at, different proposals they had. And then Tuesday evening, I attended the opening of LEAP out there on Anderson, the old Genesis building. That's quite I wanted to take the grandkids with me, but they already had something planned from school they had to go to, but I'm sure I'll be taking them back. They have a big area with wall-to-wall trampolines. They got bowling alleys. They got arcade games, and they've got a couple more areas they're still working on getting finished off. They've got a room that you can have parties in for the kids. And there's also a bar area with a big screen TV for the parents while the kids are running around. And they're going to be working on some food items in the future. He said they're waiting, as everybody is waiting for delivery of some kitchen items that are back ordered. And then Wednesday, I attended the local government day in Topeka, and that's the Kansas Association of Counties and the League of Kansas Municipalities. Had separate meetings from 1 until about 3:30, and then a joint meeting until 5. Governor Kelly had a brief speech during the joint meeting. After that, there was a reception for everyone to discuss items with legislators who were showing up and other attendees. Several of ours had other commitments, didn't make it, but I did talk to Carlin for a while about some other stuff. And also about our kids. Our kids went to school together in grade school. So then Senator Moran attended, and I had a brief discussion with him about some changes on military health care that I'd been asked about. And then ran into someone I knew from back in Leavenworth. She's now the communications director for the League of Kansas Municipalities. And her video assistant is somebody that graduated from Riley County High School. It was Jackson Wagner.
Yeah, good.
It was a good meeting. I can go over some later when we got more time. If you want, I've got some notes. You guys kind of go through at the end of the meeting, maybe go over all that stuff. So other than that, we can go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the board to add an item on the agenda specifically to Julie Gibbs' time. Worked with her and Tammy Robinson on a lease agreement that Julie would like to bring before the board for a site for KDHE testing.
Oh, okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, if you could add that as the third item below Julie's two currently numbered items at 10:05. That's assuming that we get back the final version, which I think we will. Sometime this morning, Julie will be coming in.
We need a motion.
Or agreed by consensus, either one.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
We can start with the business meeting then. Adding in the stuff to the agenda.
Need a motion on the 2022 official depositories. Pretty good there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we approve and sign the 2022 official depositories.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2022 official depositories list. All those in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to approve change order number 1 with Eber Construction for Center Road Bridge Replacement Project. So I make a motion to approve change order number 1 for the Sin Road Bridge Replacement Project.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve change order number 1 for the Sen Road Bridge Replacement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, sign please.
We don't have to sign the depositories.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the CIP project amendment form for the EMS SUV replacement project, include cost for radios and lights in the vehicles as presented and approved by the Board of County Commissioners, January 24th, 2022.
I would make a motion to sign the CIP project amendment form for the EMS SUV replacement project.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the request for the CIP amendment for EMS. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, sign please.
What's this? Three.
No, there's
Oh, sure.
3 amendments.
Oh,
If there's
okay.
3 amendments, sorry.
Have to sign three.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I think Tim be a little confused there.
That's cool.
Next, I have a Riley County Personnel Action Form for Dominic Moreau, Traffic Control Technician 1, Public Works Department, Separation of Service.
Didn't notice the supervisor. Son of the school chair.
Oh, really? Next, I need a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll. Make a motion that we approve payroll and accounts payable.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the payroll accounts payables. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, I gotta give kudos to the staff in the clerk's office, Tammy, Michelle, everyone that's kicked in, because we've just had a rotation of people that are available and not available. They've done a tremendous job. And Michelle coming back and doing stuff early while she's on leave from surgery, and just, you know, the responsibilities, they take it seriously and they
That's great.
take care of. Thank you. The minutes on the board is,
Anyone have any? Actually, I did have, in mind, any comments. My last comment.
Okay.
Last paragraph, it says, a big sports weekend, it's just big.
Big, yeah. Oh, there was, that's.
Yeah. That's why there are more typos in my life. That
you said, we're a big sports weekend.
says
Instead of a
bid.
bid
Where, how far down is
My
it?
last paragraph under my comments.
page.
You got a lot there.
Yeah, that's kind of.
And where it says draft minutes.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. It took a while for the computer to bring them up. So it
Right,
wasn't
catch
in that page. Is there anything else?
Yeah. No corrections. Notes.
Nope. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 24th, 2022 meeting as amended.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of January 24th as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tentative agenda for commissioners.
Tentative.
Correct. Any items for next week's press conference? Next commissioners at 9 o'clock. We have Vivian, PIO monthly update.
Yeah.
All right.
Ask next week if you guys would like to try to do new headshots in this room before the meeting starts. So I'll ask
What,
them
Monday or
this year too.
Thursday.
Let's do Thursday. I'm not gonna be in the office Monday.
Okay.
All
But I
right.
think if we open these windows and
Get some
kind of
light.
have the flags there, that we can do something nice, and we'll
Okay.
give it a shot, and if you
All
don't
right.
like it, we'll try another spot.
Is this for the webpage?
For the website for you guys to use,
Okay.
just tap dated photos.
Okay.
That's good.
One of the
Until
things that's
Wednesday,
been
you
on
can
my
do it in the
list.
snow with them.
Yeah.
Snow
Oh, is it
shot.
gonna snow?
Did you see all the snow in western Kansas? Those are
Did it
some
really? I
crazy
haven't
pictures.
seen
Oh,
it.
there's They're talking about over 2 feet of snow.
21 inches in Sharon
Really?
Springs.
20, oh, that is it, 24, but yeah.
There might have been somewhere, but I just know Sharon Springs, they said 21 inches.
I didn't know that until listening to the.
It was
weather last
one
night.
that they didn't even catch on the radar or anything. It's just a freak storm that brewed up and
What's it, Miranda was saying yesterday, he had a meeting out in western Kansas and got partway there and come back.
Probably close the
Highways
road
were
like they
closed,
usually
yeah.
do, yeah. Where did they close the road?
I don't. And it wasn't as bad on I-70. It was, I don't think, it was farther south. Big down.
yeah, Sharon Springs is probably 20 minutes south of I-70.
I remember when I was a kid out there. Storms were even worse in there, you know, they'd go clear up over the snow, go clear over the fence,
Mhm.
walk over the fences.
I remember that.
You would hear at K-State, they were really tough storms. I was a student, they were really cold.
That ice storm, one, they actually closed classes. There was so much power out and power lines down, I think, on an ice storm, they closed classes.
Christian,
Oh,
7,
seven?
yeah, December.
All right.
I like your
I've
songs.
been there.
Those are awesome.
73 or 74, yes. I don't know which place I was living, which got pretty close to the campus. I could walk there.
I was trying to remember all the places I lived in as a college. And I remember 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the dorm. Well, 1, 2, 3 plus the dorm.
Well, yeah, that lost I had it. Talked to my grandpa one time, and he was 70 years old at the time. Talked about when he went to K-State. Oh yeah, well we went to this. He could list off the addresses of all the
Really?
places they lived when they were here in college.
I was senior year.
Yeah.
It's a tough year. I lived in a house that had been condemned. It's gone now. That
That's
was one of those cheap places to live.
my brother, one of his daughters, moved every semester. She never lived in the same thing
Oh,
the
that
whole,
was tough.
the whole year. She moved September. She moved every semester every year.
Oh, goodness, that would be.
When I could not have been back to moving. I just told her to find somebody to help.
I never had any help.
We don't have that much, yes. College, you can throw it all back in your car.
Yeah, just, you know. Yeah, my dad gave me a big old car, a big old Chrysler to drive around. Last year, everything I owned. Not the case now.
Yeah.
They're moving this weekend. We just
Oh.
bought a house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's Alfonso's family's gonna come up and help us, and we've got the big moving truck. And so I hate moving.
Yeah.
I'm really excited,
She hates
My
moving,
house.
except for this time.
except for this time. I like the being in the new place.
Yeah.
The moving is tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for
packing
sure.
boxes for a month and then unpacking for a couple of months.
I thought I did so much work, but there's a lot left to do yet, so. It'll get
Oh,
done.
yeah,
It'll get done.
it will.
Yeah, the tough part is when you have somebody else packing for you, and that's right.
We moved here, yeah, we've packed part of it.
Something
We've got
my daughter
boxes.
unpacked from the move that the army did.
Oh, oh.
They were terrible the way they packed it. They didn't.
Oh, really?
I'd find all sorts of weird stuff in different boxes. The kitchen was in like, I couldn't find the coffee pot. Which
Oh.
That's really
They
important to find.
didn't mark it anywhere.
On top, right?
I looked, I never did find it. I don't know.
That's what my daughter went there in Hawaii, the farm hired was a bunch of big snowing guys. and we packed these boxes full, and they just grab them, pick them up, and take them out. Got to Leavenworth, and the guys were hollering, "Why did you pack these boxes?"
So heavy.
Yeah, but they couldn't pick them up.
Good heavens.
You got those guys out there, they're just grabbing.
Drive them.
There's some big boys there. Here didn't work so well.
I mean,
But of course,
these
they were
little
also
boxes.
in a one-story house there, and this is a three-story house in Leavenworth.
Ah.
One of those old ones up on.
One of those old ones.
It's a neat house, big, huge house, but carrying all that stuff, and because it's, it's not 8-foot ceilings either, it's like 11-foot ceilings or on the first floor, and even the second floor is more than 8-foot ceiling, so.
Long
There's
stairs.
a lot of stairs when you get up.
It's really tall house.
Oh, I need to live in that now. Have the stairs up and down.
Yeah. Well, again, there's no bathroom on the main floor, you gotta go up.
Or you gotta go upstairs.
I told my wife we weren't doing a 2-story house because I know I wasn't getting any younger eventually.
Yeah.
And hanging drywall all through college, I knew what it was like going up and down stairs.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I bought my house, I said, no more stairs, it's all on one level, which is great. Easier to clean too.
Commissioner Ford, next Thursday, I'd like to offer to take new headshots for the commissioners before the meeting starts. We'll do it in here. I'll just open the shades and we'll kind of set up a little spot in front of.
Cool.
the
Yeah, I
flag
need to
if you'd
update
like.
that bio too. Yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Dates are off now for 3 years ago.
It is hard to fill this space between schedule.
Mhm.
I don't know any jokes.
That's okay.
I had a good Virginia joke, but I can't say it. On the camera.
So apparently a shop in Kansas City is making Buffalo Bills jerseys, the number 13 and the seconds on the back of the last.
13
no,
seconds.
I guess they probably sell for $13 or something. I don't know.
Should be 13 cents, 0.13.
Yeah, but it's a little cheap for a jersey, even a fake one. Maybe $139.99. I don't know.
I just hope they're focused on the next game.
Yeah.
Let's see, K-State's doing a bunch of promotions for the women's teams, tickets for 61.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then they,
Might also not help to lose by
Scored half.
61.
well, they scored half of the points last night as they did in the last game.
Yeah.
Lost by 18.
On the radio this morning, Melissa Etheridge has a song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, I heard that. too. I didn't hear the song, but
I couldn't
Of course, his
understand the
introduction, I
words.
couldn't-
Wasn't
and the
a great
introduction,
song.
they said something about Kansas City native, Melissa, and she's not. She's from Leavenworth. She grew up in Leavenworth.
Yeah.
Her dad was a music teacher at high school.
Oh,
actually, her and my aunt were friends in high school.
Oh,
We went to
really?
High school together.
I think it's kind of a cute song, but I couldn't understand the words.
It's called Chocolate Cake.
Chocolate cake,
I
yeah.
hadn't heard it. I caught it was out
Cake
there.
day or something.
It's like on Spotify
Today
or
is National
something.
Chocolate Cake.
Yeah.
So you forgot to bring the chocolate cake, John.
I told you pie, I don't do cake.
I'll
That's
take
on the
cake.
rest of you.
I'll take cake.
National Pie Day, which is 3/14.
Yeah,
You know pie.
yeah.
I'll do anything.
I'm not gonna stake the entire formula out because it goes on and on and on, which I guess maybe we have time, but
Just one little simple.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, we do have a meeting on Friday.
yeah, figures.
So
I walked into that one.
We expect you.
I'll be sick that day.
That is good to know.
I'll be sick. No worries, I'll be sick that day.
recording too.
We do, we can check the record on that. Okay, well, it's almost.
Yep, gotta wait.
A couple seconds.
Oh, now I'm nervous.
They're a rough crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, off we go. I'm gonna hit you with a lot of data today, unfortunately. I hope it's not too boring, but I recently completed a market assessment for Riley County, and I thought you'd be interested in the results. And I hope to use this research to guide our communication efforts in the future. So we'll start with an introduction. Organization goals, audience information, data and current trends, a quick SWOT analysis, and then end with a brief summary of communications priorities. And you're well aware of our mission statement. It really focuses on the people of Riley County, and I think it's clear that providing excellent customer service is really at the heart of everything we do, and I'm very proud of that. We have 9 organizational goals which serve this mission. You're all familiar with the goals, so I wasn't going to take the time to read them here.
Never heard of it.
Oh, really?
Okay, well then let's do. Goal 1 is to continue comprehensive growth planning. 2, strengthen economic development activities. 3, implement building improvements. 4, improve technology capabilities. 5, promote infrastructure improvements. 6, plan for staffing and facility needs. 7, develop government leaders. 8, develop new revenue sources. And 9, improve government efficiency. And I feel like especially for goal 9 has a tie with communication.
Where did this come from?
I found them on the website.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know when they were developed specifically, but yeah, they've been
That's
there.
why I wondered how.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they've been there.
I've seen
How
the,
long?
whatever it was, mission statement.
Was it a
I've seen that.
strategic plan thing? I haven't seen these either.
Well, I need to share those more widely then. I'll
Yeah.
make myself a note. So then now we're going to wade into all that data I talked about. To communicate effectively, of course, you first have to know your audience and be aware of their needs. The vast majority of Riley County residents, about 54,000, live in the city of Manhattan. The next largest city is Ogden with 1,600 residents. And people in Riley County are young. The average age in Riley County is 25, while the average age for the state of Kansas is 37. We actually have more than double the rate of 20 to 29-year-olds than the rest of the state of Kansas, and also in the U.S. 34% of the Riley County population is actually, oh, sorry, that's actually incorrect. 20 to 29 years old, that's supposed to be. So then to help give context for all of this information, which I pulled from US Census data from 2020, I pulled data from 2 other Midwest counties with major universities. The first was Douglas County, home to the University of Kansas in Lawrence, and Story County, Iowa, home to Iowa State University in Ames. They're comparable counties. Each have a lower percentage of college-age residents than we do. In Douglas County, 25% of residents are in their 20s, and Story County has 29%. So this could indicate that the younger people brought to the community by Kansas State University and Fort Riley are an even greater influence on the local population here than in other similar counties. However, this age group is transient. Most of them will leave the area after a few years, so their needs and concerns will be different than the long-term residents. And just something to consider, this is a snapshot of what's going on in the county from census data. Oh, I guess one other thing to note, we have a higher percentage of people without healthcare coverage than those other 2 counties, and we actually have a lower household income than the other 2. The next, categorizing residents into subgroups was an exercise I thought would help me understand and recognize their needs. We have just this broad category. So who we serve is everyone. The general population, all ages, urban, rural, everyone who lives in our county. Their interest right now and for the past couple of years, according to website hits and social media stats, has been COVID-19. Next, DMV, taxes, licenses and renewals, elections, GIS, severe weather, emergency alerts, flooding, and health department services. Needs that might be a little bit more specific to rural and small town residents, which would include farmers, ranchers, small business owners, employees of those small businesses, and commuters. Would be burn permits and fire danger. Not a lot of folks in the city of Manhattan worried about burn permits, but out in the county, that's something they pay attention to. Fire danger, road conditions outside of the city, short-term rental licenses, that's something that's coming up for the non-incorporated areas. Urban residents, in particular students, soldiers, military families, and general population, they have access to public transportation that maybe some folks in the rural counties do not. Additional groups would be county court and corrections inmates, families, and parolees, employees, visitors, and all business owners in urban areas. So this, I'm going to geek out a little bit because I'm taking grad classes right now. So I get to explore all the theories and learn all of those things. So according to uses and gratifications theory findings, convenience, transparency, and participation are the most important aspects of communication with government entities. And that makes sense. If you look at the physical space, people want interaction with government to be as simple and painless as possible. Generally, they want to find the information or function that's important to them, complete the task quickly, and move on. The same way people don't really hang out in our lobby when they have spare time, they're not going to hang out on our digital spaces when they have spare time either. They're here for a purpose, and that's how they interact with our digital spaces too. Taking a quick look at website traffic that confirms this. People visit our site to find specific information or complete an action, not to browse. If they're here to find out about marriage licenses or title renewal, they're not going to say, oh, you know what, I'd like to, while I'm here, I'm going to read some history or I'm going to read some other things about the county. They just want to complete their task and move on. It's a little bit more data. COVID-19, our most popular pages for quite a while. This is just a breakdown of data from the month of December. So I also used a tool. It's a social listening tool. It's something that will comb content in a digital environment for news stories, blog posts, social media posts about Riley County. I feed in keywords and it gives me a snapshot of all the information that's out there on the internet pertaining to that topic. So we only had 34 records from September to December of last year that were not related to sports or crime in Riley County. The tool measures the sentiment of each article or mention, and the high percentage of neutral sentiments indicates professional journalism. So most of the stories and things online were initiated by professional journalists. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. I compared that to Douglas County. During the same time period, had 777 records. So news stories about that county that were not related to crime and sports. So that's, and also mostly neutral sentiment indicating professional journalism. Story County, Iowa, 131, so still higher, but they actually had a small percentage of positive sentiment where the other two counties had negative, just information, something to help complete the picture. Then I was really surprised to look at how little interaction there was with county governments on social media. The numbers were low for all the counties I measured, and so I checked a much larger county to see if maybe more marketing resources, a marketing team might translate into a better social media following, and it did not. Data for San Diego County, California was what I checked. This consistent with the other accounts percentage-wise. They have a population of almost 3.3 million. So the raw numbers were higher, but their Twitter following represented only about 4% of their population. And the Facebook following, which you generally expect to be a bit higher, was actually lower at only 2.5% of the population. So to me, this means that it's not likely we're ever going to get big numbers on social media. It's still a tool that we should use, but certainly shouldn't be our main focus for communication.
I had a comment from a constituent about the Facebook Live that was with the health department.
Mhm.
And you may have heard that, and that, very few people were watching that. So what I was thinking, how do we get that kind of thing out?
We actually had a huge following for that. That was one of our most popular, like during the height of COVID, when we were doing a Facebook Live, we would hit, almost 100,000 views at the end of it, which is more than the folks in our county. But we had, I had the data that I wrote down. It was very popular.
Very popular, okay.
And I took the footage and posted it to YouTube afterwards, just to make sure that it was accessible to everyone. Not everybody has Facebook or wants to watch something on Facebook Live. So we tried to make it as available and accessible as possible. But without our own television station and production studio, that's kind of our best tool for reaching an audience in that way. Not perfect by any means, but I'll email the numbers to you because I pulled them the other day out of curiosity and was surprised. I think it was about 1,700 people total watched it. So
You've had that in, you've had that.
Okay.
It was on your notes here.
Oh, good. I knew I wrote it somewhere.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking that. So a quick SWOT analysis, and I'm not over time. I'd say local media partners are still going to be our most notable strength. Voters and people who have high levels of civic engagement also tend to consume a lot of local news. This is something we're covering in the class I'm taking right now. Local media does a great job of serving the community. Our existing website is also a really strong point. The site functions well, and a refresh is scheduled for the early part of this year, as we've discussed before. Long-term residents, I also see as another very important strength. People who've lived here for a long time are familiar with the area, familiar with services and procedures. They have relationships and strong community connections. That's something that's great for our community. Residents also have a strong sense of place and connection with the Flint Hills region. In my experience, people are really proud to live here. The existing Everbridge service, which I'm sure you're familiar with, allows people to subscribe to emergency notifications, including iPause messages, those that will alert every cell phone within a geographic region if there's a disaster. And then also the Flint Hills Public Information Officers, which I've been part of for several years, and the Kansas Association of Public Information Officers provide mutual aid, collaborating and assisting during crisis and disasters. We saw during the flood, kind of the PIOs from the police department and the school and K-State. We were all there to help figure out how to notify residents and get that information out. So I think it's a very important strength. Weaknesses, balancing urban versus rural needs, since those are two different populations, and there's a bit of a difference between the needs of each. The county seat in Manhattan is the biggest city, most populous location, but we're divided between two different counties. And additional growth in the region is expected to occur on the Potawatomi side. Other weaknesses include broadband internet access and quality cell service, which is not always readily available in rural areas. And as mentioned, we have a low social media following. No local television station, although WIBW and KSNT cover our information very regularly. And we have no identified budget for marketing. And while I hope it's helpful to have me here, have one communications person, I'm still just one person. Ooh. And then opportunities include the potential to create staff ambassadors, which I'm excited about. We have a lot of long-term employees who have deep roots and strong connections to the community, and empowering them to share information, I think, will be very successful. So like when a staff member runs into somebody at the grocery store and they get asked a question, I want to make sure they have the information to answer that question and can be serve as ambassadors for the county when they're out and about. Increased interaction on social media could strengthen partnerships with residents, with area organizations, and even neighboring counties. And we can only go up from here and try to build on that sense of regional cooperation that we have. And then COVID-19 has actually prompted us to offer some more services online, proving those services are needed and kind of opening the door for some modernization. I think it's going well. That reservation service for the treasurer's office, people compliment that all the time. Threats, gossip, and misinformation on social media. It's everywhere. It's not a problem unique to us, but it is rampant. COVID continues to be a threat to in-person events and activities such as job fairs. We can't really reach people in that way. And some folks really prefer that type of in-person interaction that we're kind of missing right now. Only about half the local population is registered to vote, and not all registered voters participate in elections. We have some work to do there, but that again is not unique to our county, but something that I want to focus on, getting people to register to vote, participate in democracy. All in all, we're in good shape though. So then, taking all of that into account, I've identified 4 communications priorities for Riley County. First, keeping the website useful and up to date. I think that's very important. That's one of our most valuable tools. Sending more news updates and strengthening the relationship with local media partners, since they already have this audience and they're getting news to people who vote. Getting them the information they need is important. And then getting more people to sign up for those emergency notifications through Everbridge. And then in general, providing excellent customer service online and through social media. So answering questions quickly, taking the time to interact with people when they have concerns. That's going to be kind of my focus. And then overall, I just hope to act as a trustworthy source of information that serves the public interest. So I know that's a lot of information. I did a lot of talking, and I apologize if I went over my time. I did just a minute, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have or follow up later with email, since we kind of need to move on. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate it.
You had said Monday, I guess, you had some questions about the February 10th meeting.
Yes, I did.
I don't know if now it's not, it's needed, maybe on the agenda the next couple of days.
Okay.
But I want to get on there, whatever those are.
I wanted to know how to advise people about the rules for public comment during that meeting, since I think you'll have a lot of folks who have something to say. And I just want to make sure they're aware of the expectations.
We need to get it on the agenda.
That's what I
So
was saying.
plan this time and get 10 or 15 minutes on there and discuss with the board.
Okay, should I schedule that with Cindy? Will do.
Always.
I noticed it wasn't on the next one, so I thought we need to get that on there.
Yep, we can get that on there.
Appreciate the questions.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor. I have a couple of items for you today. The first being a work session on review of Senate Bill 325. This is an interesting one. As you probably saw on the KAC update, one big thing. And this is a good example of uniform statewide legislation that if you look at it and as you read through it, there's nothing in here that says, hey, this is statewide impact. This affects every county. But it clearly does. So it's something to be aware of as you evaluate legislation and bills that come up. It's not always stated in there. In fact, you're rarely going to see something that says it's of statewide impact. This is one of them. And what it does is it affects every county and how they deal with 2 types of facilities: wind energy facilities to be constructed and solar energy facilities to be constructed. It also has some real interesting construction in it in terms of the language itself. I had not seen one like this. Whoever wrote this was very creative, because in section 1, it says on and after July 1st, 2022, no, then there's a colon. So at least the 2 following subparagraphs are modified by that no. If you just look at this quickly, you'll think, well, a facility may be constructed on any parcel of land that is not zoned for industrial use, because you're leaving out the no. And I don't know why they didn't write it that way. To me, this is very unusual because it could be much more understandable, in my opinion, if it said no facility may be constructed. And the second numbered paragraph said no developer may begin. Really unusual. It's also the kind of thing that could very easily drop out of there as this legislation winds its way through the both chambers. I did circulate this earlier in the week. I'm going to try and get better about this session. And we have a bill that I think the board's interested in. I'm going to get it out, do my best to get it out to department heads, because a lot of times I won't see how something may impact another department's work. And hopefully if I do this, manage to do this often enough, we'll give departments an opportunity to come in and maybe weigh in, so you get information from people who are doing work every day that may be impacted or have an impact by potential legislation. For that reason, you have representatives of a couple of departments. I know one of the first that has some issues with this would be planning and development. And I wanted to give seats and time to Amanda Webb, our planning and development director, so she can talk about any kind of concerns they may have initially identified in the legislation, or if somebody wants to speak in favor of it too. You need to hear that as well. Amanda, would you like to come up? And even if you wouldn't like to, will you please come up?
Clancy, I had a question.
Yes, sure.
Because again, the word things that was interesting to know, but my understanding that if the neighbors protest, then it has to go up for a public vote.
If enough do, yes. The protest petition generates a vote.
Which is only 10% of the people directly next to them. That wouldn't take too many people, but it would have to go to a public vote to put those in, correct?
Yes.
Intent.
It would. Additional expense to do something for a very specific parcel, very specific project.
Thank you, Clancy. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. So as you know, Clancy talked about, and as the bill is proposing, any piece of property would have to be zoned industrial in order for these uses to occur. In our newly adopted land development regulations, we allow by special use the wind and solar energy facilities on agriculturally zoned properties, and that's the extent of where we allow those. Just thinking about if we zone a piece of property to industrial, that opens up a host of uses that are allowable in the industrial zone. So we have to think about, when we zone a piece of property something, what those uses could wind up being. Somebody wants to do a wind or solar, well, now it's zoned light or heavy industrial, then they don't do it. We have this industrially zoned piece of property, and we don't know, how that's going to impact the surrounding communities. So we definitely have a concern with them needing to be zoned industrial for this use. Questions on that?
Because we did do that one solar thing. Or I guess I mentioned last year, there's one solar thing, and it wasn't industrial. That's out in the field somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know about that. It's doing industrial. I don't think so.
A potentially large host of uses that are a lot more invasive or not compatible than just having a solar panel or a wind turbine. So it could definitely be an issue for neighboring property owners.
I think the intent, how I get here, I think the intent is for them to go away, because these wind farms require a great deal of acreage. And I think municipalities are not apt to approve or rezoning for that. So it just doesn't happen. It's a strategy to make them go away. And as we talked about earlier, but that solar farm that went up on Green Valley Road, I believe, those are inert, but they can be decommissioned into something that is not so acceptable for their asphalt batch plant right there. So yeah, so it's not a good idea, but you can see where the strategy is. So
if a farmer wanted to have a wind farm and did a lease with the wind farm people, that would be illegal until they.
and according to this, they have to rezone the property to do it to industrial. And we're talking commercial wind farms, commercial solar operations, that kind
I
of
just
stuff.
put a solar panel on the house.
No, it's not that.
But if you wanted 20 turbines,
Yeah, it's a whole
then
different thing.
it would have to be
Absolutely.
zoned, and even, 3 or 4 people could protest. So that would be
It's
Well, they
limited
have to-
property.
You have to rezone it, then they could protest the rezoning. Does your land use plan call for industrial zoning in any particular part of the county, especially in large areas like that? And so you can see that will be unlikely to do something like that. And so you see what I'm saying? It's just a strategy so that, well, if you can't rezone it to industrial, then it just can't happen. Problem solved. Thank you.
It's always good to kind of speculate about what the intent is, but it doesn't say that. And what we're left with in a statute is what the statute says. And it also, if we start speculating about, well, it only applies to commercial, that isn't what this says. And that isn't what it defines as a commercial, what it defines as a facility for wind turbines. It's far broader than that. It may very well be that it's designed to stop this. It'd be a lot simpler to just simply do that rather than being this clever and have the unintended consequences like Amanda was talking about. I also asked Russell if he could, do you still have concerns about access or not?
Well, I think you're second.
Yeah, because I was reading it wrong, quite frankly. I read it the wrong way the first time because I thought it meant exactly the opposite of what it says. And there's another good reason to have plenty of eyes on this kind of stuff is because it was pointed out to me fairly quickly. I think Amanda's the one that schooled me on that and said, well, what about no? And oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of important. But anyway, I hope to do this more in the future so that department heads will have a chance to tell you what they think about it. I don't know. I did not check to see when this actually has any kind of a hearing or whether one's been scheduled or not. Not aware of it, but you might be thinking about what approach you want to take because our lobbyists have asked me to tell them what exactly, if the board has a position, what would your position be? I will assume at this point, unless you tell me differently, you're not enthusiastic about suddenly allowing these facilities, allowing a process where somebody turns ag land into industrial as a part of generating what it is. Is it fair to say that that's a concern that you would want to be addressed in the bill?
Yeah. Mine. Okay. And also regarding wind farms right now, you can't put wind farms in Pilot County. There's an agreement. What was that? Somewhere it was. They talked about there's a stretch down through the Flint Hills that there's an agreement not to put any wind farms in these areas. Right?
Well, at the state level, there was I remember the state did some kind of negotiation about the tall grass prairie.
Oh, yeah.
As I recall, I don't think there's a general prohibition on wind farms that I'm aware of.
It's not a state prohibition, but it's some kind of agreement between wind farm people and the state that they won't try to put in this. It's rural counties from here down.
Okay.
That's Wichita.
It was a big issue
Yeah, it
years
was.
ago here that
Yeah.
county commission faced, and there was a lot of discussion about that in the Flint Hills in opposition to that.
Sure.
But as far as any formal agreement on, or
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
can't remember where it was.
Maybe it's a secret agreement.
your favorite kind.
Yes, maybe it involves moving some giant factory someplace. I don't know. But I'm not aware of that. But what I will do is based on your consensus, if it's all right, I'll at least tell them this concern needs to be addressed. And that there's some unintended consequences that you're concerned about. I'll relay that to them
Zoning bunch of ag areas, industrial.
for this purpose. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you've got industrial zone property in areas that were intended to be ag by our land use regulations. So thank you for taking the time to review that. Thank you, Russell, for looking it over. I appreciate it. I appreciate any department head who took the time to look it over. And some of this moves so quickly, as you've seen, that we've got to get responses back pretty fast. Okay, the only other item I've got through my time before Corey's turn is a revision to the Rural Economic Development Advisory Board resolution. It cleans up the version that you should have before you. Thank you, Russell. Cleans up, a mistake that I made in the original resolution. I did not catch that in section 4, the previous language was written as though there were 9 members of the advisory board. What would follow. This cleans that up and it is intended to replicate in section 4 what the board discussed last week as something that needed to be done, where you specified that of those 6 members, 2 will be for 1 term, 2 will be for 1-year term, 2 will be for a 1-year term, 2 will be for a 2-year term, and 2 will be for a 3-year term. And thereafter, anybody that's put on the board after that initial term expires will be for 3-year terms. So it should roll through in the future and you'll have staggered terms. That's the concept anyway. If this is acceptable, then I would ask that the board approve this correction. It does repeal the previous version that you approved before you caught the fact that the terms were not appropriately described. I'm going to quit giving you documents if you're going to read them. That's the one thing I can offer you.
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution as submitted today.
I'll second.
Pardon me, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution revising the Rural Economic Development Advisory Board. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for that mistake.
All 3 signed, please.
I think I'll blame Deputy County Councilor Craig, just because Craig Cox, since I'm not sure he's watching, so somehow it's his.
He's not here, so that's,
Yeah.
he was supposed to review that.
Evidently, I don't know what he was thinking.
Corey Meyer at 9:35.
Bob, this whole thing is just trying to stop.
Yeah. We drove down to Liberals last year. You can see what that turned into real quick.
Yeah. If he gets that impression, then I'm close. Yeah.
This weekend. Jane hasn't told you yet, anyway.
Ranked is supposed to have basketball. First week of games, we had submitted. The rest of the week's out, we canceled.
How old are the grandkids?
Thank you.
First week they were canceled, the second week, I revised the schedule, but they didn't get, one of the coaches didn't message. They showed up, at the game was over, the whole team showed up from the game. So she, and my son said, "Man, I got there." He said, "You." Oh, no, absolutely. No.
I was thinking
Tell them that the schedule.
Oh, shoot.
So, this is this weekend, I think that's on Sunday. Too bad. Corey.
All right, good morning, Commission. Corey Meyer, ITGIS Director, here for a staff update, and then a couple of extra items here. Our staff update will be brief. It's been pretty steady in a lot of the areas we've had in the last months. Helping with COVID, district court, Wareham, jury projects, those kind of things. Moving forward with our Office 365 migration. We've been doing some test pilots in some of the departments. We'll have courts migrated this week, working with them. Inventory finished up. It was a tough year for inventory. A lot of change happened as far as equipment and so forth, which has then led us into working on our insurance coverage, as Tammy sent to us, and we're elbow deep in a lot of research there on the additional amount of equipment and things that we brought in. But it is going well. Derek's probably listening in, and I always try to remember to give him oxygen and caffeine so that he keeps going on that. But we are moving forward on that. One of the things I'll be bringing to you soon will be it'll either be our enterprise agreement for Microsoft or what might be a replacement, and I'll speak to that in just a little bit, but it is listed on here. And I have picked up conversations again about using DocuSign. It was conversations that fell off about 6-8 months ago. That'll be so we can start doing electronic signed documents, so forth, less paper shuffle, less things that we have to send to somebody prints, somebody signs, somebody then has to email back. So increase some efficiency across a lot of the departments. I'll get down to a couple though of the items I do want to just discuss, and that would be that we have been spending some time helping departments review some software that they're potentially wanting to implement in the departments. That has taken quite a bit of our time. But I did want to mention that we're starting to see some things in the budget at this point. The contractual items, stuff that's coming in, everything is coming in over budget at this point. The budget was put in at about a 5% increase across the board. The least I've seen is 8% on an increase, and I've seen it as much as high as a 12% increase. And that's only with about 7 particular items so far that have come in. Monitoring that closely. We've built some spreadsheets to try to help us project where that's going so that we can start looking at it. So 27th day of January, and I can tell you that for myself, it's my first year as a director, when I look across that budget, I've got some concerns, and so I've got to watch it closely. The other issue that's happening in a lot of those areas is the delay of delivery of products that we purchase. One of the things I'm running right now, we're watching every day, is we ordered some computers clear back in November, and presently we just received notification that we don't have an estimated delivery date until February 20th, I believe it is. Problem that comes with that is that we don't get invoiced until they get shipped. And so that'll be something that we're monitoring closely and how we handle that. And that was about a $9,000 purchase on some PCs there. So something that we're seeing there. I did meet with one of our vendors yesterday, and they told me that if it was networking type products, to expect a minimum 180-day delivery time, minimum. They also informed me of a particular line, and it happens to be a product that we use, that they said that it they have already come out and said they will not be available in 2022. They just flat said it's not that they don't have them, they don't sell them, but just do not expect to be able to take delivery of that particular product line in 2022. So we're all going to have to do our homework, and I think that that's probably going to be a trend that we see in other departments as well. I imagine, and I know that John and probably not just we, Public Works, are seeing a lot of those things when it comes to vehicles and purchases as well. And so it's going to be one of those years that we're going to spend a lot of time looking at things. We'll have to think about that, especially coming towards the end of the year, which leads me to a little bit of a throw myself on the mercy of the board and say I do apologize, because a couple of things that are presented for you in the packet was purchase authorizations. There's two of them, both for $17,999.80. I apologize. What we got caught here with is this was from our budget. It was a purchase of PC replacements. We do annually. We replace about 40 machines a year. Got caught in the didn't have a director, interim director hired as director. Got to the end of the year, and but I made these purchases without getting the authorization to you ahead of time. But it was from budget. I do appreciate Tammy bringing it to my attention, and so I wanted to come forth and say I do apologize for that. In doing so, it was budgeted, but I do know that the policy, anything over 10,000, we need to bring ahead of time. So there are two agreements, and I did want to bring those to you and show you so that you would see those and be aware that took place. Lastly, and most importantly, and open for discussion here in my time, is moving forward with the replacement of what was my old job as our network administrator. I spent some time internally with staff and with Elizabeth. I believe that she's on here with us. Rewrote the job description to better fit what I felt the need of the position was. In doing so, are you you're not driving, are you? She's driving.
Yeah.
I'm parked. It's fine. We've had a
See the scenery moving behind you.
Yeah.
well, yes, moving behind me on the road.
We're going to ask for a 360 view to confirm that or something here.
I'm parked.
Sorry.
Starbucks parked.
Yeah, I think the moving behind. I thought she was driving.
Yeah, she was.
Okay. All right. The position started out as a 6-page position, reworked it, made it fit more as to what has been the role that I have filled over the last 13 years in doing that. Made some changes, made some adjustments to that, worked with Elizabeth. And so I believe that the gold sheet is there to come around, and I am asking for approval. We've looked at the budget. I guess you could say there's no fiscal impact to the budget because it is already a position we had. I do believe what will happen is we'll likely hire that position and lower, so it will save on budget. But I am asking, making a recommendation that you approve that we move forward with the fill of that, what is now I'm calling the network/systems administrator position. You have any questions for me on that? Elizabeth, do you have anything to add?
No. This is a position that the requirements haven't changed. We don't have to have it reevaluated by anyone. So the pay grade is correct. And Corey's probably accurate. We probably will not start him at the salary he started at 9 years ago now, but we will start him at start the new person likely less than what Corey was making. So there should be a positive budget impact, really.
I need to go into and express how much I need this position, I will do that, but it is crucial. I need that very much. I'm currently doing double duty on both of those roles. It's necessary for the department and the county and what we do and upkeep of our technology and moving projects forward.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to open up the network systems administrator's position in the IT department.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to open up the position in the IT department. All those in favor? Aye.
I thank you for that and appreciate that. And I will, in my updates, I will try to continue to let you guys know how things are going budget wise and where we're seeing some of those projections and those numbers going. I've been down to Tammy's office on some things, and I am even asking for extensions when we get some agreements to be able to try to renegotiate and do what we can to get, best possible pricing on some things. But we will be working that diligently and throughout the year to keep us on track. So I thank you for your time. If you have any other questions, I'm open to them. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Commissioners can also get a motion on the two purchase
Yeah.
authorizations. There were two? Yeah.
There were two, yes.
Oh,
There were
okay.
two separate purchases.
Two
yes.
separate,
So, can we,
You can do it
approve
as
both
one.
at the same time? Okay, I would make a motion to allow, ITGIS to proceed with both purchases.
I'll second.
We moved and seconded to allow IT to proceed with the purchases. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All three sign, please. Thanks, Corey.
You betcha.
Next
Are there any
question.
questions for me?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next commissioner, you have John Allen. 9:50.
So far now. Excited for today's.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Ellerman, Public Works Director. And I am here today to ask to refill a traffic control technician position. Current position has been budgeted. Just recently vacated or will be at the end of the week. My resignation. So it's a position that takes care of all the street signs and the signing in the county roads. It's so repairs and damages traffic signals and signs and take care of inventory, making the new signs as we need them. Typically a 3-person division. So requesting that we be able to refill that and start advertising for that.
I would make a motion to fill the traffic control technician position within Public Works.
Second.
And move the second to the public works to the traffic control position. All those in favor? Aye.
All three sign, please. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We have Julie Gibson, 10:05. That happens to me a lot.
Almost every hour from the hour.
That was not a good night.
No,
That took me a long time to go to sleep.
Yes, that's what exactly happened
to me too.
What was going on?
I'm so dragging today. I'm just tired.
I know.
It's 2 o'clock. Walk around, go back to sleep. You know, my-
3 o'clock, yeah, I don't
I don't know what the
look
school
at
transition's now. But-
As soon as I wake up, then the cat jumps out.
You start being a cat, kind of laying his legs. So,
This one, right here,
oh.
with all fours, jumps right there and just lays there. So, ah.
A cat would know they learn to fly.
Once in a while.
This is not gonna be a good reference.
He is that scary.
This is not good.
It's just with the mask on and then the lines going, it reminded me of the mask that they put on him.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't gonna be a compliment.
Not bad, it's just that, they're not making the masks beautiful,
Well, you can probably get them style.
probably,
Somebody's making them.
I'm sure,
I'll bet you.
yeah.
If they're not, once they hear this thing.
Yeah, we went to the grocery store this weekend at Hy-Vee and they were giving out those, is it N95s or I can't remember what they're called, but they were giving those out for free. I think I got they stuck 10 in my bag.
Wow.
How's that for a change from the beginning?
Yeah.
I know, so.
There must have been somebody cranking those out at several places. Because they're on Amazon.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see it. I don't know if that'll last.
I don't know either, but mine should last for a little while.
Yeah.
I can't get that picture out of my head now.
But seriously, no, it's, I'm not,
Gonna turn your back on.
I'm not trying, but that was a movie that had a huge impact on me because it scared me to death. So, I can still see that in my mind and just the mask and the way it's shaped. And,
That's kind of how we feel about Fancy most days too. So,
oh,
yeah.
I like Clancy. Clancy's a good guy.
There you go.
After she makes fun of your mask.
Oh, that's okay.
I wasn't making fun of it, I was just referencing,
After she works me to Hannibal Lecter.
not you per se, just the mask.
Guess we could get an appliance dolly in a white suit and drag him out of here.
But the thing is,
That's what you're after.
2 years ago, if you had somebody following you and had a
Yeah.
mask on like that, it'd scare you to death. And
Yeah.
today it's just normal
We're
practice.
going into a bank wearing one.
Yeah, that's what I commented when I went in the bank. I said,
It's crazy how
usually he
much
doesn't
time
want
has
you
changed.
walking in here with a mask.
Yeah. Of course, there's that group of people that probably just need to keep their masks on too for other reasons.
But yeah, it's definitely a change.
Present company not included.
Oh, that's not it.
It makes you want to carry your pepper spray.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know whether it's normal or not today.
You can bet. There's some criminals out there taking advantage.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Did you see the video of the actor comedian guy in New York City? Like he walks into a Rite Aid and this guy's got 2 bags and just starts plowing stuff off the shelves and walks right out.
Oh, wow.
Waves at the security guard at the door and walks out with 2 bags and stuff. It's like, really? Really?
I didn't know.
Well, don't tell your wife, because then she'll be like, do not be wearing that mask.
No, she probably agrees. She probably just had, I was always gonna say that. But somebody's out there. Pretty creative.
But yeah, we're on YouTube, right? So I probably should not have said that. Anybody can go watch that.
It's out there.
Yeah, somebody's out there making it. There already has. Not enough people want it. Anything with movie Anthony Hopkins in it is worth watching.
Well, and that's the thing, I often wondered how well he had to mentally prepare to do that. Because, you'd have to be just a little bit off to be able to prepare to do that. Just like the Joker and like Batman, that crazy, I think it would be difficult to prepare to be that.
Could be.
Or anyway, I'd like to hope that it would be difficult for most people to prepare to do that.
Be convincing.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins played some interesting roles this time.
Yes, he usually doesn't pick guys, he has to pick guys.
And then Jack Nicholson both, he's another one that has picked some really,
There's a whole raft of those from that generation and aging out and even doing it. So Robert Duvall.
yeah, and you think about actors today, I can't even name any that could fit those profiles to
No,
do
well,
those
too many of
roles.
them today, I have trouble distinguishing. They have the same haircuts.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It's because they're all wearing masks and you can't see anything with their eyes.
Even without them. Even without. There's exceptions.
Clint Eastwood was another actor that I have always loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's, he's always had those roles where
He's apparently gonna work till he's 115.
I think. Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine him not being. We watched the one where he went down to Mexico and brought
Yeah.
I can't think what it was called
Was
now,
it the
but it
mule?
might have been, but it was, I was like, yeah, this is classic Clint Eastwood.
I may have it wrong. But that was a good one, yeah. He doesn't do bad films. Particularly the director.
He's directing films that he's starring
I
in, so that's a
know,
whole new layer to
Um,
everything.
The one with the car, it's named.
Gran
Gran Torino.
Yeah, that one was good.
film.
He's got another one now.
Yeah, we were just talking,
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was
Was it the
Mule.
mule?
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
And then I like the baseball show too.
Oh,
Where he's the agent.
Yeah.
And his
Three-
daughter's in it.
3
Curve.
Curve.
Trouble with the
Yeah,
Curve.
Trouble with the Curve. That's right.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
That was one where
I think that was based on a true story.
But-
it was a boxing manager for the female boxer.
Oh.
It sounded terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a good movie.
yeah, and I can't
I waited a long
think.
time to watch it. The
Yeah.
premise sounds.
Yeah.
Really good. Something big. Maybe something.
I wanted to say babe. Something
Yeah,
babe.
baby's in the title. so.
Yeah.
Oh, $1 million baby.
There you
Is
go.
that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting guy.
But I like her as an actress too. She's really good. She plays good. Usually her roles are a little
I
bit
can picture it,
controversial.
can't think of her name.
I can't either, but she's played in several roles where she's just.
I'm gonna get this wrong.
always
Is it
very
Hillary
nice.
Swank?
It is, that is who it is, you're
Okay.
right, Hillary Swank, very good.
Actually, I think there's a better crop of female younger actresses than there are male actors in that.
Correct,
terms of
I agree.
talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Hillary Swank is one I really like, and then the one that was in Walton's, the redhead. She's played in a lot of controversial roles, and I really like her.
Yeah, I didn't know there was an alumnus of that.
Emily, is it Emily? She's like the oldest Walton daughter.
Should come up with a name.
From the original?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like her.
I miss movie theaters.
I know, right? Yeah.
Not the same. I don't care how big the TV screen.
It's a lot different for some reason sitting in there in the dark and with your popcorn.
Incredibly expensive candy.
I know, $12 box of candy.
Just junior mints.
I know. Is there 12 in here? Is it $1 a mint? I know you buy your popcorn and your soda and your box of candy and it's like $50.
Yeah.
It
I
costs
like
you 25 to get in.
I like true to capitalism. I like the stores like Walgreens that took up the challenge that they have a specific, clearly their candy, as some of them were marketing, it's movie candy.
Uh-huh,
And just put it in your dates or your significant other's purse.
yeah.
Cut down the cost. I know people who've done it. Not that I would.
I know.
The people on YouTube, they're shocked, Clancy, shocked.
Sure they are.
Your
Well,
shenanigans over
Not
here.
me, it's people I know.
I
You
used
didn't
to
buy
buy
say
like
that.
the one large drink and we'd have 2 straws and share it. In today's age, you aren't allowed to go share a
Not
drink.
really,
now.
not
So,
really.
like, so you have to buy 2 $12 sodas.
Of course, you'll only get that size.
I know.
Gosh, I hope nobody from the movie theaters watching this morning, man. I guess the truth has to be truth, huh?
Yeah.
True. I haven't actually been to a movie. I have not seen a movie in a long time. Not because of COVID, just, I mean,
Oh, that's,
you know,
we've always really been a family, like Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day, we've always done that. And that's just been something that's really changed.
Well, my
with
sons
us.
are doing that. They try to go to one every weekend. And so I saw a lot of terrible films. Can't always depend on the crop.
Right?
That's an awful film.
Yeah, I remember the outdoor movie theaters and going, and that was like the best to go up and play on the playground during their
Oh, yeah.
intermission. And,
Yep.
it was
Yeah,
families
which one?
and that.
metal speaker boxes you attach to your window.
Yes.
Now it's all Bluetooth. They have them. They have drive-in movie theaters are becoming popular again, but it's all Bluetooth.
I know,
You just get a speaker and plug it in and
yeah.
boom.
You go and you get ate up by mosquitoes because the windows are open. and
Yep.
it's a hot summer night.
Yeah, but you could eat those great barbecue beef sandwiches.
Their pizza was the best. I've
Oh.
never had pizza as good as that.
No, the barbecue
drive-in
beef was
theaters.
the best. Barbecue beef sandwich.
We
Who knows
always
what it
just loaded up the car, brought our own.
Oh, yeah, we always brought our own popcorn for some reason.
Oh, yeah?
We'd still go to the concession
Oh.
stand.
I always thought it was a huge treat to get their pizza.
And others I know have
Pizza.
said they actually brought people in. the car.
Yeah. In the trunk.
So I hear,
So I hear as well.
Rumors are.
So there are 33 people watching this morning.
Amazing how many people can get in a 1964 Impala trunk.
You can fit about 12 people in that trunk.
that would and you had to trust the driver because that was before you had that thing.
Better was the 1970 Duster because the seat folded down from the trunk. Not as big a trunk, but easier access in and out.
Finally.
Personally, didn't even know they made vehicles back then.
Good horses and buggies back then.
Hi. Took forever to get back.
Well, it was pretty fast until the last part. Well, at 9:30, he sent one over, maybe a little bit before that. But it wasn't. And so I had to email him. Can I get it signed? I go at 10:05.
Good job.
All right, Julie.
Thanks. Okay. You're to make a motion.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
not.
it's already,
I'm sorry.
it's not to get out of.
No, we need to make a motion to get into.
No, we need recess. We need recess. I'll make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
Second that.
Moving second, recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of Health. Those in favor? Aye.
I was waiting for everybody to stop talking.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right, good morning. I have a few things for you this morning. So my first one is a request to fill medical interpreter position. This has changed slightly, so a little bit of background. Maria Vaquero, she was our previous interpreter. She's been promoted to the bilingual navigator position. She was essentially doing some of the case work already for this position, and so she was a good fit. She applied, she had a great interview, so we're happy that we were able to promote her to that position. But that, of course, leaves a part-time medical interpreter position open. We have decided to move this under administration, so I will be the direct supervisor simply because it's used by so many different programs, primarily the clinic services and WIC services. Our plan is to use ELC funding, that's our supplemental funding, to pay for this position through the rest of this year. And we'll do a time study in that time to determine which programs use her more, basically. So how many hours they use her so that we can appropriately fund this program through the different services. So WIC, I know, uses her uses this position about 6 to 10 hours a week. And then the clinic services uses about the same amount of time, but we really want to do a thorough time study to determine exactly how many hours from each program are utilizing the services of the interpreter. And as I mentioned in my discussion, we did a quick search to determine how many clients this person has or how many times we need their services, and quite a few. We have quite a few Spanish-speaking clients through our clinic and through WIC services. Every once in a while, Raising Riley will request an interpreter, but not very often. It's usually WIC or clinic services. This person would also be at all of our vaccine clinics, flu vaccine clinics, COVID vaccine clinics, as well as at any health fairs that we have in the future to be able to offer interpreting. And then they would also help us with any medical forms that need to be interpreted, as well as any social media materials that need to be interpreted as well. And I think that's all I have to say about that. Do you have any questions about that position?
Initially I read it, I thought, didn't we just hire somebody?
Yeah.
So I went, oh, no, I didn't read through it. Oh.
Yeah.
It's the second position. It sounded the same.
Yeah.
Title. But I have no questions.
Anybody else? I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the request to fill the medical interpreter position in the Riley County Health Department.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to fill the medical interpreter position for the health department. All those in favor? Aye.
All three sign, please.
Time of the year.
Thanks. Right, and my next item is the MCH Maternal and Child Health OPEI Letter of Intent for 2022. OPEI is Outreach, Prevention, and Early Intervention. So this allows the department to do quite a few things, including outreach and prevention services to low-income families and at-risk families. So Breva has described in the discussion here exactly what this grant allows them to do. And this is a yearly process that we come to you for. The fiscal impact, the total funding shall not exceed $440,000. And then there is a match from the county. So this would just require a signature for the letter of intent.
This done every year. Yeah, about this time.
Yeah.
About this time. Yep. I'll go ahead and make a motion to sign, have the chairman sign the OPEI letter of intent for 2022.
I would second that.
And moving second to chairman to sign the OPEI grant. All those in favor? Aye.
Chairman, please.
The last item I have was not on the agenda, but we do have a lease agreement to review and potentially sign. This would be between Icon Investments in the county for a place for KDHE to be able to do their testing so that they don't have to cancel anymore when we have cold weather. KDHE has toured this facility and they deemed it appropriate to be able to do testing. It has ample parking spaces, so we don't have to worry about that. And we don't have to worry about traffic backing up with the mall anymore. So we've made them all aware that we're planning on doing this. So they're aware that we could be moving as early as next week. So this location is 3019 Anderson. It's the old Landmark Bank property there on Anderson.
You could use that as a drive-through?
No, they'd actually have them come in. Okay. So they've already mapped out how they would have them come in one entrance and out the other so that they can get them tested appropriately and not have to have anyone waiting in the waiting area. So we're hoping it works out smoothly.
Yeah, the lunch hour will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine.
So it's still a drive-through kind of.
Well, we'd have them drive up and then enter in.
And then enter, okay. Now, do we have, is the electricity and heat and everything on in that building?
I believe so. Yeah. Everything's ready.
Assume.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was just wondering if we had to.
Yeah.
Agree to that.
Oh, yes. And the funding, so it's a monthly rent. We will pay it. The health department will pay it and we'll be reimbursed through KDHE.
Okay. I think that's how we had it set up the last time.
Yeah.
We didn't use it. So, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the lease for the KDHE indoor testing site.
I would second that.
And moving second to approve the lease for the indoor KDHE testing location. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Which it's on the back of the final page.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, just the back.
Yep.
Thanks.
Good with that.
I just stopped.
We'll only charge you $10 this time if you miss it.
Oh,
Do you reuse those tabs or not? Say this.
Okay.
Make sure he was managing the site.
Okay. Yeah. Do I take that with me now or wait? All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julie.
10:20.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
I'll second that.
We move the second recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know if you ever saw it.
I think I have.
It's a. He
I
plays.
think they'll go out by mail or they give them to the departments to hand out.
Ends up having.
Because I can, yeah.
It sounds like super premise, but.
Yeah.
We've been menaced by it there.
No sense in doing that.
We'll go to the live. It's worth watching. It's good. And another terrible title. It's a great movie called The Human Stain. The Human Stain.
Stain?
It's an awful title.
Huh.
Really good.
Are they scary?
No, second one is a drama based on race. A lot of race issues in it. It's really
Yeah, that Silence of the Lambs was about all I can do for, I'm not big on scary shows and that was really hard to watch.
Then you didn't watch Hannibal. did you?
No.
No. You said that quickly.
That makes Silence of the Lambs seem like,
Yeah.
Book of Money or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
I mean, I can watch the sci-fi stuff that you know is not real and it's not gonna happen, but when they're like the suspense that it could happen, like the people that are in the hospitals that go around and stuff, those are ones I cannot watch. Too much.
Watch parts of it.
Which one?
Silence of the Lambs.
Really?
I've seen parts of it, but I haven't ever seen it. Watch
Pretty
it.
good.
That's.
The one that was scary when I was in college was Exorcist. Was the big one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yes.
I saw that when I was a kid.
We saw it at the, unfortunately, the other theater in Aggieville. It was down at the,
Farney.
not the one where Barney's is, the other one down there. When we saw it on Saturday, we went down on Saturday afternoon, and you come out of that, and you come out of that, and it's daylight. It's such a shock after being in that movie. Come out, oh, it's daylight.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, come out there in the late night show, and probably would have been afraid to watch your car.
Yeah.
Remember that with aliens watching that over here.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's why I blame my fear of wearing masks on that movie.
I'm not a big fan of horror movies. Neither my wife or I get into those things.
I like good horror movies. I don't like slasher films. I never got into those.
Dracula was great. I like Dracula.
Which one?
The remake.
Dracula. I love Dracula.
Yeah, again, you know, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I can watch those, just not the things that you know are out there. The crazy people.
Yeah, the mental illness movies.
Wasn't there just recently Ted Bundy that they,
Oh, yeah.
there's no way I'm watching that. Anyway.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it was,
No way.
that's a Netflix thing, and yeah, it's creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah, just
I mean, just.
they're
know-
just having a conversation just like we are, but you know, it's about like murdering 30-something people, you know.
Well, that's what we watched the documentary thing about BTK.
Yeah.
That was
But
crazy.
that's the one that was in Salina area.
In Wichita.
Wichita.
Yeah,
You know, everybody said, oh, yeah, he was a great guy.
great
This
guy,
and-
great neighbor.
Then
Yeah.
they found a whole stash.
He was also a compliance officer, which allowed him to get into people's homes.
Yeah, yeah, that,
For Park City.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
so we just watched that one.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be fascinating to be that person that could open up their brains and see how much different the makeup
Oh,
is
yeah.
from like normal type people. There's gotta be, but.
So wait a minute, the movie scare you.
Just she wants to split their head open and dissect their brain.
They're dead.
Boy, this conversation's going south in a hurry. Not as
But
20.
it's not like, I wouldn't want to have a conversation with them after they're gone, like see how much different their brains
Bob.
are compared to.
Bob, can you go up here and direct this
That's what I was
conversation
thinking.
over direction?
I was gonna steer back in the right direction
Well,
here.
I'm just studying up
Never
there.
mind. Must have had a lot of
That was where you were.
Well, I should clarify.
Never wanted to talk about special use permits more than I do in this movie.
It's not intimidating. All right, get that going. Yeah, this is another one of those examples where it's a good idea to use something like this that really specifies the use that you're intending. And if you don't do that use, well, you use what you're still able to do whatever is in the underlying zoning district. Good morning, folks. I'm not sure if I was able to say that earlier, but this board has made an application with Riley County Planning and Development requesting special use authorization to permit the construction and operation of a rural fire station. The proposed fire station will eventually replace the current station and will serve as an encompassing 5-mile radius. This is the Ashland Fire Station. The subject site is generally located approximately 1,000 feet southwest of the intersection of McDowell Creek Road and West 32nd Avenue on the south side of McDowell Creek Road. The Raleigh County Fire District Number 1 provides and maintains all of the fire stations in the county fire district. The building that houses the current Ashland station, located at 2920 West 40th Street, was originally constructed in 1916 and converted into a fire station during the 1960s, when the rural fire district was formed. The station has been on the district's replacement schedule for years, as it has become inadequately sized to house the newer trucks. The fire district is proposing a 50 by 40 foot fire station, which, as mentioned previously, will eventually replace the current station. The subject site is zoned AG agricultural and has been zoned as such since at least 1974. Most of the property surrounding the site is also zoned AG agricultural, shown here in gray, with the exception of a residentially zoned lot, which is lot 1 of the Conley addition, as you see here in the green. And that is actually zoned SF1 now. That's through the conversion of the LDR at the effective day of the first of the year. There are no conditional uses or variances or other special uses that are associated with the subject site. As you may imagine, the Raleigh County Fire District Number 1 will serve and occupy the site. The nearest county fire station is the Ashland Fire Station, located at 2881 West 32nd, which this one will replace. The map shows the location of the existing station and that of the new station to show you the comparison of proximity of the properties. This is the site plan illustrating the orientation and location of the lot's boundaries in relation to the proposed fire station. A zoomed in version of the same site plan shows the dimensions and layout of the building and parking lot. Parking area will be concrete. The site plan has been reviewed by the county engineer and county environmental health specialist, who was found to be acceptable. But there is an existing recorded 20-foot travel easement across the subject tract that serves the residents south of the site. The request is not expected to have a detrimental effect on either the driveway, travel easement, or nearby residents. It might, quite frankly, help out that residence. Fire station so close. On January 10th of this year, the Riley County Planning Board unanimously forwarded a recommendation of approval of the request to the Board of County Commissioners, as it has been determined that it meets the minimum requirements of the Riley County Land Development Regulations, Riley County Sanitary Code. Staff concurs with that recommendation of the Riley County Planning Board and also recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve the request for special use authorization to allow the construction and operation and use of a rural fire station. That's all I have. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to field those.
Gotta get that built at some point in time, so. And we'll be having another one at some point in time for University Park, I'm assuming as well. So,
A little bit more involved, I guess.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve resolution 102722, approving the request for a special use authorization to allow the construction and use of a rural fire station as has been determined that it meets the minimum requirements of the zoning regulations of Riley County, Kansas, and the Riley County Sanitary Code.
I would second that.
And moved and seconded to approve resolution 012722, approving the request for special use of the fire station. All those in favor? Aye.
All three sign, please.
Timeline on that?
We are exploring funding options.
Real quick.
Anything left? Didn't you?
Last agenda item, Julie, can you give a brief one with it?
I've gone before, but if they were talking about something specific, yeah.
There were a couple things. First one had, had 5 different representatives and senators kind of, they were asking him, how did you get into this? And, it was interesting, all of the different ones that came, representatives and senators came to address us, all had been county commissioners at that time, which is, there aren't that many of men, but the ones that are,
that's why they were there.
That's why they were there, because they understand the challenge that important. So they need to relay that to the other ones. And it's the first discussion, like there's 4 or 5 of them. There's one from the right, one from the left, tend to throw politics into everything they said, but the others all just need good general discussion about why they ended up doing that, what, how things work, things considered. And then then one of the later meetings, talked about that. Talked about some of the stuff that's on the KAC website. There's some, they said now they're going to be putting any of Jake Hall's, anytime Jake Hall testifies, they're going to have that tape of it posted on the thing. Also, it said Fridays from 2 to 3. It's a legislative liaison meeting, a Zoom meeting from 2 to 3 every Friday with Bruce and Jay, discussing what's going on that week. You have to sign up. That's what KAC site to sign up to join the meeting. But
I bet you send out an email or something about that.
well, and then they said it's on that KAC happening comes out. There's a link there, but you have to sign up to get. You can't get the link if they don't want.
Just anybody having it, yeah.
So, but it's, you know, up to date thing. And then when they're discussing some things in dark store theory, they mentioned the fact that somebody was an appraiser from another county talked about how Raleigh County has some good stuff that the appraisers put on about dark store theory and other appraisal things. They said, I don't know who this county she's from, but she was going on and on about how the Raleigh County appraisals, that's a lot of good, the office has a lot of good things on their side. And the one, and then Governor Kelly got there and she kind of just brought out kind of almost a brief of her state of the state speech from the week before. Just brief kind of went over the same thing. Then the last thing was supposed to be legislative update, and out of 3 or 4 people are supposed to be there, only one made it. And I realized they were in meetings and stuff, but this was Adam Smith.
Oh, tax committee chair.
Tax. And one he was talking about, they're trying to do redistricting, for the federal one is one thing, but to do the state one, he said they're trying to get back to the fact that they don't divide up so many counties. The last one they divided, he said, trying to work on a thing to keep counties together without having, I guess, quite a few. And there's some counties that had 3 different Senate districts in them where they chopped them up, and they're trying to keep them within counties. But he said he didn't know how that'll work, but that's what they're trying to work on. But then, and he talked about Senate Bill 13 for budgeting. He said, you're right, it's a pain, but he advised it to do something. Didn't have any great ideas of what he's planning on. But then the one that bothered me, he talked about, because somebody asked about, or well, because Jay was asking a question about the LABTR. When are you going to start? He talked about it, got all this extra money this year. Are you going to do that? He goes, well, it'd be nice to do that, but I'm afraid if we did that, then later another state, the next legislature might take it all away, and that'd be tough. So I'm not in favor of adding it back because it might get taken apart later. And I'm like, well, that's
interesting reasoning.
Right. And I say, I don't know if our lobbyists could talk to him and try to. Does that go through the tax committee or I'm not sure.
Oh, for sure.
I assume it has to, yeah.
And he was saying, oh yeah, it was terrible. It's because he used to be a county commissioner and
Who is this?
Adam Smith.
Adam Smith?
Chair of the
He's the chair of the tax.
House tax committee.
It seems kind of a twisted logic. We don't want to give it to you because it might be taken back later.
That would be terrible.
Oh yeah.
But it's by statute, so if you're taking it back, you guys are the ones that are taking it back.
I did like, I said, somebody needs to talk to him, try to change that attitude, I thought.
I'll pass along what he said.
Yeah, and then Derek Schmidt came, and he mainly was talking about the opioid litigation and how they're trying to get spent. And they did get the first batch of money, which was only 10 million, but by the time to divide it all up, any of the money comes in, 25% of it is going to the municipalities. The other 75% is going into a grant program. Each county will have to apply for grants to it. And he said this is, but that's all for substance abuse programs. And there's 3 big distributors that are hoping to get close to settle with them. He said some of the guilty companies they had a little bit of problem. They don't want to completely destroy the drug companies that are making other good stuff, but they also need to punish them enough that they don't get into this. But he wants and then the other thing he said that Kansas was good because almost every county and municipality signed on to just the state's general lawsuit. He said he's talking to some of the other counties or other states. Different cities are trying to get separate lawsuits, and he said it stirs up stuff. He said that he knows the guy in Tennessee, the AG there, and he said they've got a big problem because several of the cities and counties won't join the state. They're trying to do it on their own, which he said has just been slow progress on the whole thing. But especially when it comes to distributing money within the state, it's going to be a battle. He said so far, all of Kansas seems to be agreeing to get it together and get it figured out. So, like I said, they're hoping in the next few weeks the big settlement that the main theory distribute less environment was. But again, they said there was a little bit of concern. You don't want to hurt them so much that you take down the companies, but harm them enough that they don't try something like that again.
There's a movie out called Doper.
Oh.
It's on HBO or something like that, gets into that
Oh,
whole
really?
situation about how doctors were encouraged to prescribe opioids and.
Well, they said, he said some of those pain clinics and open places, he said some of the drug companies were sponsoring those.
Sure.
They were funding people to open those clinics to shell out those pills by the handfuls.
That movie is really good. I can't remember if it's on HBO. I think it's on HBO. So I'll find out. But it's real. It really gets into it. It's a true story.
But it's
A doctor got
strange going on, but that's kind of a brief outline of what they all went through.
What event was that again? I didn't catch.
Local government day.
Local government day. I want to tell the lobbyists, so where the information was.
And they can plan on being up there 16th for the strictly county day. See how that works.
But it was interesting. Like I said, I get to talk to some of the other commissioners from other counties about stuff.
You'll be seeing another version of the one part of that paperwork that you signed off on to have us join. AAC's template did not have a reference in there to, you have to have, under our state's rules for this settlement, you have to have at least $500 in impact due to the opioid issues, which is easy enough. I've got David Adams looking at ambulance information. I'm sure we can represent that. You'll be seeing one of those pieces of paperwork again.
Well, we had, was it 2 years ago? We had 3 deaths from that, like back to back in February. So
it doesn't.
I can't put a price tag on live, but I think you could justify $500 at least there alone.
I think most people are assuming, but I'd like to at least see something to get out.
Okay.
You won't see the documentation, but that's why you're going to see it. There were a full slew of counties that used that template, including us. And it did not have, and I wondered about that, there was another piece of the paperwork, and the AG's paperwork that referenced $500, but the template did not. We're correcting it as other counties are.
Sounds good. I don't have anything else. No additional business. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn the January 27th, 2022 BOCC meeting.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to